Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, helping us all find a little more clarity in our daily journey. Today's guest is Darlene Greene, a retired Navy commander turned health consultant who's dedicated her life to serving others. From leading over 1,200 personnel as a base commander to now helping hundreds of people reclaim their vitality and pursue their biggest dreams. Let's step into Darlene's world and hear the words that have guided her through decades of leadership, service, and transformation. Welcome, Darlene.
Well, thank you,
Tell
Wisdom.
us
Thanks
your
for having
name
me.
and what you do.
So my name is Darlene Greene, and I help people with their health. I'm a technology consultant. I help people optimize both their emotional and their physical well-being.
What's your favorite quote?
So I have a lot of favorite quotes, Wisdom, but one of them is this. If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness.
Wow. If you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. Wow, that's true. Wow. Okay, when did you come to the realization of this quote?
Yeah, and it really comes from my lifelong battle to just be healthy. It started with a couple of very bad marriages to emotionally and physically abusive narcissists. My first one ended up, I lost my thyroid. I had very serious migraines. My second marriage resulted in 5 autoimmune disorders and PTSD. And I would tell you at the time, I didn't understand how absolutely dangerous chronic stress is. I think of chronic stress now like a dripping faucet all over your nervous system, and it's eventually going to flood the house, and it really, really could kill you. In fact, there's an interesting additional quote that you might be interested in by a Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I think this would surprise you and your listeners. I don't know. Let me ask you, if I were to ask you, what percentage of people do you think go to a healthcare facility as a result of stress? What would you guess?
I'll just take a wide guess and say 60%.
Okay. And listeners, I want you to think too. What would you guess? Because I was shocked by the actual statistic, which is 75 to 90%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Right? 75 to 90% of people are going to a care facility, a healthcare facility, because of psychological or emotional stress. And I experienced that, although it was in a different way. And my journey through health and wellness, and really that got me into the business that I'm in today, was really prompted initially by my own health. But then my third husband, who I married, who was an angel on earth and the most wonderful man on the planet, at 14 years of marriage, and honestly the best marriage in the world, contracted early Alzheimer's at age 64. And this was game changer, right? This meant I went researching everything we could do to try to assist him. And that was a lot. We did hyperbaric chamber. We did ozone therapy. We did microcurrent. We did pulse electromagnetic frequency. We obviously did exercise and diet and brain tap and those kinds of things. We even went out of country because in the United States, where I am, we don't have the ability to access stem cells. So we went out of country 4 times at very high cost to get stem cells via IV and injection, and nothing made a difference. And so imagine my shock when I come across a technology that's not very well known, although it's in 82 countries, that has no side effects, no drugs, and in 1 week changed our lives. My husband actually, in the very first day, he stopped taking this 3.5-hour nap. At the time that we started with this technology, he was no longer even talking. He was a zombie in a shell of his former self. He was not even trying to be funny, and that's his personality. Immediately upon using the technology, he began to engage and be talkative and be funny and back to his personality. And over a very short period of time, he regained abilities he had lost. He regained the ability to whistle and drum. He even regained his sense of smell, which he'd lost 20 years before. And I kind of told you about my journey a little bit. I had suffered with chronic fatigue syndrome for 26 years. I all of a sudden had no symptoms any longer. I had fibromyalgia for 23 years. I had POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia, where you don't get enough blood to the brain, and so you pass out. And I was on a medication that actually had to increase my blood pressure to keep me upright. And after utilizing the technology, I no longer had any symptoms of that. And I no longer needed that medicine. I mean, I no longer had migraines. I no longer had, my depression. As a result of my husband's Alzheimer's, I had very severe depression. Um, it dissipated in 3 weeks. So all of this, I had more energy. I had better quality sleep. All of these things, hair growth, hair came in darker, hair came in fuller. All of these amazing things. And so initially, I shared it with my mom and my dad and my sister and my cousin, thinking, okay, well, it works for my husband and me,
Yeah.
but what about other people? And then I got to see a tremendous improvement in other people, because what this technology does, Wisdom, is it activates the body's innate intelligence. It actually improves, it rejuvenates and regenerates and repairs your master foundational cells. Now, where you are in Africa, I can say stem cells. In the United States, I'm going to say master foundational cells, because our FDA has a lock on those words. You can't even use them here without threat. So I will just keep it at master foundational cells and tell you that this technology is affordable, it's safe, it's easy, it's good for kids, it's good for grandparents, and I have watched it change lives from getting people out of pain. Like, I had somebody who was on a scale of 1 to 10. She was a 14 level pain, and she had been that way for years, years, Wisdom. And in 1 minute, we dropped her to 0 pain. 1 minute. And a week later, when I talked with her, she said, Darlene, it's not an understatement to say you saved my life. And so imagine how transformative that is. And so part of why that quote resonates with me is that so often I feel like people live exhausted. They almost wear stress like a badge of honor. Like, I worked so long and I'm not getting any sleep, and, woe is me. But they almost say it in a bragging way. And I just don't think we're meant to live exhausted. And I don't think we're meant to live in quiet suffering. I think we're meant to shine and to serve and to feel fully alive. And I don't think you can do that if you don't take stress seriously and you don't prioritize your wellness.
Earlier on, you started with a quote. In the form you feed, you said health is everything, and something like health is everything, or something like health. If you take health first, and then everything else follows, right? And now you say,
Yeah, if you
and now
Go
you
ahead.
say that you're sharing this other quote, which is the other quote you just shared.
The other quote. So the 75 to 90% of people that go to healthcare facility, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. That one is an unknown quote, but I'll tell you one that I made up myself, and that's this. Investing in your health isn't a luxury. It is the down payment on every dream you have ever dared to chase. So imagine, no matter what it is, you're not going to get there if you don't have your health. And that's very clear to me now. But I will say, it wasn't before. Even though I was dealing with health issues, it's only very clear to me now. And I will also say this, Wisdom, this technology did not save my husband's life.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
He passed away in March. I've done over 100 podcasts. Thank you. This is the first podcast I've actually done since his passing. Because I just haven't been really up for it, as you might imagine. But I am determined. I really feel like if we would have known about it earlier, he would still be with us today. That I just didn't know about it soon enough. And so I have a partial mission. I actually have helped over 700 people feel better, and I do that because it's my way of paying forward something that I learned through my husband's journey and having it not be all for naught. It is important to me to share so that other people who are maybe where I was 4 years ago with their loved one or their person can change their lives, the future vector and forecast of their entire
Yeah,
lives.
you. I think I'll come back to the technology aspects, but before that, you mentioned health is the down. Investing in your health is a down payment for every dream you've ever had. And I'm curious, what does it mean to invest in our health? Because a lot of persons, when they hear investment, they're like money, 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 money.
Yeah, yeah. So investing in your health isn't a luxury, it's a down payment on every dream you've ever dared to chase. To me, it's not just money, right? It's investing time. It's prioritizing your sleep. It is prioritizing nutrition. It is prioritizing meditation. It is making sure, if you're an introvert, that you don't stack your day with back-to-back meetings, that you schedule little breaks in the middle of the day so you can give your system some chance to rest and recover. And if you're an extrovert, that you schedule time to be with people to charge your batteries. It is a matter of not ignoring the things that are going sideways for you and your health, as so often people do. They're like, well, whatever, some aches and pains, some loss of memory, that's normal. No, it's not memory. You do not need to lose your memory as you get older. That
Yeah,
is not true. It is not a part of life. So I from my perspective, it's a matter of investing time. And then I do deal in a technology that is, in the United States, less than $99 for a 1 month supply of this technology. That is, from my perspective, the best investment you could ever make in your entire life to helping your own health. And I help people with that. I invest my time with them for free as a gift to help people get on the path to better wellness. As a salve to my own soul, as something I can do for my heart at a time when my heart hurts. Quite honestly, I actually did an entire resilience through creativity art session this morning, and it was 2 hours of talking about who we'd lost. There were a few widows, there was someone who lost their brother, and we created an art project that was meaningful to us, and it was very emotional for me. I cried. I wept talking about him and how wonderful he was and how grateful I am that I had him in my life, and how wonderful it is to my children that they got to see what a real dad is and a real beautiful husband, and how grateful I am for that, and how I'm really working hard at not just processing that grief as I need to. I'm not trying to shove it away and not deal with it, but I also think grief, like a lot of emotions, can be like quicksand, like anger, right? They can be quicksand, they can
yeah,
just suck you down. And I feel strongly that I can use it instead as a springboard to move forward in life and to invest in the blessings and live in gratitude for the gifts that I have received, and then share those gifts with
yeah,
other
yeah.
people.
Well, okay. What's this technology you're talking about?
It's light therapy. It's super safe light therapy, wearable technology. It gets mailed to your doorstep. We're even in Africa. We're in 82 countries. It's worn by people, including in the United States, famous people like Tom Brady and Serena Williams and Michael Phelps and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles and our Secretary of Health and Human Services. So it's actually bigger than you might think. It's just not very well known because Big Pharma does not want you to know about this, because people stop taking their medicines. They no longer need blood pressure, cholesterol, a depression, ADHD. We've seen dramatic improvements in children that have autism, even gone from kindergarten to upper third, lower fourth grade in 5 weeks. In 15 days, come off their ADHD medicine and never go back on it again. There's just nothing that your body can't help you heal. And what's unfortunate about our Western medicine approach and the way our United States system is set up is they are not looking proactively, preemptively, or even systemically at the whole body. So we've talked about quotes that I love. let me tell you a quote that I hate, that I think is one of the most abominable things I've ever heard in my life. And it's actually right out of the Medicare manual. And it's this: care that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance the quality of life is not considered medically necessary. Right out of the Medicare journal. And that is why you have so many doctors doing reactive medicine, recovery, responsive, it's damage control after something's gone sideways, not proactive, not preventive. And that's why I talk about investing in your health up front ahead of maybe maybe your listeners are already at a place in time where they need help, but maybe they're not. Maybe they just want to prevent it, or maybe they just know it's starting to get, they don't want to age. They don't want to feel achy in the morning. They want to be able to do things all day with the most energy and the best refreshing sleep. And it can be as simple as that. So that I am incredibly passionate about health, because I think our health is our greatest wealth.
Just one final question, and then we'll round up the episode. And that is, can you briefly explain the principle of operation of this technology, like in layman terms, so that people really understand? Because this stuff is quite new to a lot of persons. How does it work?
Yes. So it works the way it works. When you go outside in the sun, Wisdom, your body gets the sunlight and it makes vitamin D. So, or melanin, right? Your body responds to light therapy. So this is a photobiomodulation technology that utilizes your own body's light. Is that a too big a word? Photobiomodulation. It's just light changing your biology. That's all that is. So don't get thrown off by the word. It just means light therapy, and it's just your body has light in it. If I looked at you with night vision goggles, you glow. We see it in the movies all the time when we're watching invasions at night, and they're looking through night vision goggles and all the people are glowing in the house. So your body has light inside of it. And what this technology does is it basically reflects that light back into you at a very specific wavelength that elevates very specific peptides in your body. And one particular peptide that some of your listeners maybe would be familiar with, I will tell you I was not familiar with it, is copper peptide. Copper peptide is actually used in cancer clinics to reverse and to reset genes to fight against cancer. It stops cancer in the duplication track. So a lot of cancer clinics are using it, but copper peptide is known, had 50 years of amazing study that can be Googled in PubMed to see all the benefits of copper peptide, from healing to the brain, to the lungs, to the heart and cardiovascular system. So what this is doing is it's elevating your body's copper peptide, which also, by the way, increases and promotes and regenerates those master foundational cells. When you're 30, Wisdom, half of your master foundational cells, the cells that made you, are dormant. When you're 60, and I am 60, when you're 60, they're almost all dormant. And what this does is it wakes them up, go to work, get back to the job at hand, and get working. And that is what is changing people's lives.
Well, thank you so much, Darlene, because a lot of my listeners are going to be asking, "Wow, I've never heard of that stuff. What's this thing? Oh, wow, what's she talking about?" And you start checking around and seeing, okay, this stuff, let's wrap it. What's it about? Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And just know, for those of your listeners who are curious and would like to know more, I offer a complimentary gift. Absolutely. Just my joy to sit with anybody who would like to know more. You have my Calendly link to invite anybody to jump on my calendar and have that free consultation. And also, there's a link to my website where people can look at the technology. You can see the science. You can see the studies. There's over 120 clinical studies, many double-blind, placebo-controlled.
The link for the website? I will put everything in the show notes, but I just wanted to say it out loud.
Yeah, absolutely. It's iamreverseaging.com. iamreverseaging.com. And there's a lot of information there. And I would love to connect with anyone who is listening and thinking, I need this. There's a reason you heard us today. There's a reason I'm on this. I would not be doing this today as passionately as I am if it weren't working for so many people and it didn't change my life that dramatically. And I'm grateful that I had an extra year and a half of my husband with his personality and his humor and a quality of life that honestly we didn't have before this technology by a long stretch. And of all the things that we did, and I mean, in a year we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, well over $100,000 in 1 year on his medical care. Nothing made a difference except this, and this made a remarkable difference. So I love it, and I'm passionate about it, and I hope to hear from some of the listeners in your audience. I also want to just tell you, Wisdom, I love your
Wow.
podcast. I love your focus.
Thank
I
you.
love your quotes. I really think it's a beautiful. I just love the whole notion of it. It's fun to hear other people's favorite quotes. And so I've enjoyed listening to your podcast, and I just want to thank you. I thank you again for being willing to be up at 2:15 in the morning so that I can be up at 6 p.m. and my time. And I'm grateful for
Thank
you
you
and what
so
you
much,
do.
Darlene. I'm glad we were able to make this work. Yeah, and
Me too.
to all my listeners, all of the links mentioned will be in the show notes or the description, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on whatever platforms you're listening on. Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you, Wisdom.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.